Hello there, people of YouTube. This is Jolster109. The video you are about to watch right now was filmed a few months ago. A lot has happened since then, and again, things just keep happening where I keep getting sidetracked, but that's beside the point. You're about to see me explain everything that went down for a while, but as of the right now, I had to move again, and I'm living in an apartment with my girlfriend right now. And we're still not fully settled in because there's still boxes, as you can see behind me, just laying about. Nothing's really put away, like at least not entirely. We're still missing hella furniture, and just ways to just make this work. Like I'm in the kitchen right now, and we don't have a fucking table yet. Like we just have boxes flattened out right here, and that's kind of it. Like we're just barely surviving, but I'm not gonna go into that too much just yet, but just as a heads up, what you're about to watch is um, still pretty current, and just a heads up that circumstances changed again, as they always do. But yeah, enjoy the 40 plus minute video that I have made. Oh boy. And let me know what y'all think. Leave thoughts, etc. And hopefully within the next week or so, or 2 weeks, or I don't know, soon, hopefully I can properly explain what happened here. Because, Jesus Christ. Today's like my only off, well, I don't think my only off day, but like, I don't get many off days. And even on those off days, I'm still busy, like with house chores or with family things or whatever. So it's just hard. But yeah. Anyway, I will leave it to past me now, and I'll let him take over. Catch y'all soon. Hello there, people of YouTube. This is Joltster109, and I am going to be attempting to explain the situation that I've been in over the past 7 years. Since 2016, 17-ish, give or take. But I think 2017 is when everything stopped on my channel indefinitely, and unfortunately, it's remained that way for several years, and I want to try to explain why that is. I just took notes this time. Alright. Let's see. So basically, right, I was making good progress with my channel. I gained all of you guys, my audience. I was expecting, my pony fanfic reactions, the grim darks usually. I would react to Lost Narrator. I would react to Obab Scribbler, Emo Gak, etc. All the readings of various different stories that have been somewhat controversial within fandom, or like just infamous among us, or whatever. But whatever, right? I'm doing all that for I think a year or so was how I was managing that. Within a year, I don't quite remember for how long all of that remained the way it was. I know I started first with the Something Sweet to Bite fanfic, and then from there it just snowballed into what I accumulated. And then obviously amongst all the grimdark reactions, I was also doing trailer reactions to various movies that were coming out at the time. Occasionally a TV show, but like I rarely did that. I didn't really watch TV at the time. And then even video games, I wasn't doing many video game trailers. I think I only did like one FNAF reaction, and that was whatever. But yeah, basically, in the midst of all that, I was working with actually my sister, who I lived with at the time, and I lived with my mom, my sister, her son, so my nephew, and it remained that way for a while. Obviously, like all the dogs that like I would show off on the channel, Hazel especially, she's such a sweet bean. She would occasionally show up because I would just like hold her or whatever and just show her off. She's such a sweetheart. But for the most part, it was that. It was us within the house, and I was actually working with my sister because she had worked. She was working actually in a car parts warehouse, and that's where I basically started off like making money officially. Because like after high school is like when that all went down. So I graduated in 2014, and then I didn't just officially start working until like 2015, late 2015, early 2016, somewhere in that range. And so I was making a little bit of money here and there, and then I was starting to like really snowball into the channel that you all knew. And so it wasn't until 2016 or 17, I can't remember exactly when this happened, but I had gotten let go from that job. I wasn't really a good fit for it anyway, but like basically I didn't come in one day and they were like, yeah, no, you're no. So I was like, whatever. It looked bad for my sister, but I was whatever about it. This is years ago now, so I can kind of talk about this freely, just being like, it happened. Okay, moving on. So around this time, after that job, I was job hunting again, and I had some friends at the time that were trying to help me get that. And so I had brought my laptop at the time, and I remember posting this a lot. I had brought my laptop to their house, and we were like just goofing off, like we were mostly having fun, hanging out, whatever. But also, it was the main focus was to help me shotgun a bunch of job applications, basically, and that's what I was doing for a while. And it wasn't until what was it? We were having juice and we were eating snacks and whatever. We were just at the table, just like on my laptop, and then everyone had their own computers or phones or whatever we were just doing. And then the dog at that house, his name was Comet. He was a rambunctious little fella. He's like a medium-sized-ish dog, but he has so much energy. And so, unfortunately, I had my laptop right in front of me. I was sitting at the table, and then my juice was on the left. Comet comes up and then leaps onto the table, kind of, and then starts like being nosy and like making a ruckus. And unfortunately, that's where my juice cup was sitting, and so he toppled it over onto my laptop. And that's where everything went to shit. So, basically, after that had happened, I was panicking. I had tried to clean it off as best as I could with paper towels. I tried taking it apart and like trying to like delicately like, you know, I guess clean around the buttons and the all the circuitry and everything that was in there. And I got some of it. I think it semi-worked for like a month, and then it completely just stopped after that, and I haven't been able to recover from that since, because the channel has been pretty much dead. I hate that happened, because I tried cleaning it and then nothing ever came of it, and I still have it sitting somewhere too. I don't know where it's sitting right now. I had been trying to do that for a while, and what was it? Once that happened and I was trying to clean it, after it died, I couldn't not sit around. Unfortunately, I still had to like do the job application thing, and I got hired at Target, and I think this is when I was starting to like update the channel occasionally with like what I was doing. I remember I posted a few times, but I had posted an update once. This was like 2017 or 18, I think, is when this happened. I updated the channel, and I just showed off like a mini tripod. And I think Hazel was in that video. I showed off some headphones at the time too, and I was trying to explain like, okay, this all happened, but I'm trying to get back up. I'm gonna save enough money with the job, and then hopefully get back on track. No, that didn't happen, because I only worked at Target for almost 2 years. It was a year and some change. And then that was in 2019 when I also got let go, because just the job was starting to and people were also just being a nuisance. People I worked with, and then obviously customers. I don't know if anyone's who's watching has worked with customer service, but it is not easy. Um, so that happened, and then I worked with another of. I have another sister. She kind of got me the job that she was at. She was working as a delivery driver for a rentals company that basically rented out like hardware and like machinery tools, like chainsaws or lawnmowers or vans or just yard work stuff, basically. That was not an easy job. I really tried to like learn it, but like because I was struggling really hard with that one, I also had to get let go, unfortunately. Now this was early 2019 when I think this happened, and no, this was early 2020 when this happened, and 2020 was a year because that's when the pandemic happened. Oh boy. And so that was another thing that basically kept me from anything, honestly. The entire planets basically went into shutdown. Everything was closed, and people were locked down. We're at home, and like there was nothing to do, and so I kind of had to stay home too. And like I was just like, I don't know what I can do. And I was still living with my family at the time. I was still living with my mom and my sister and my nephew. And so that all happened for almost the entirety of the year. It wasn't until November of 2020 that I got the job that I was consistent with. And I never specified what this job was, but I worked at a cemetery. And there's a reason I never went into detail about it, because who wants to explain that? Like, it's kind of morbid, and like unfortunately it's a job that has to be done because like people pass away. And so it's just a thing that happens. So unfortunately that's just what it was. I started that job in November of 2020, and I actually did pretty well for myself during this time because I was still living with my family, and because I got a lot of overtime from it. Hi, baby. Whatchamacallit, I had been able to save up quite a lot of money, actually. And so that's how I was able to do what I was trying to do during this period. I know I posted a few updates, the community tab, I think it is, on my channel about like, oh, I'm saving up money, I'm trying to move out, I'm trying to do this and that. And I was doing it because I had the money to actually do it finally. And so what I wanted to, first off, what I wanted to do for real was to move out, because the room I was living in was way too small. And there wasn't enough space for me, for my stuff. Obviously, I have a collection that has remained consistent in my life. I am not dropping this anytime soon. I haven't even shown this off yet, but like, that's gonna be a whole other video on its own. But like, yeah, I have a whole bunch of figures. But yeah, let me not focus on that right now. Basically, I was saving up enough money to move out. I forgot to mention, I actually managed to buy my mom's car off of her, and I've been using that to get around, and so that was a big help. So I got a car, I got a new place. I was able to move out finally. I think I moved out it was June 2022. June 2022 is when I moved out. And at the time I was still working at the cemetery. And all was well for a while. But unfortunately I started to get a little bit cocky with how I was managing the job situation, because I was with a crew, right? It was 4 of us. It was me and then 3 others. I'm not gonna put any names out there, but my supervisor, real cool guy. Unfortunately, he had busted his knee one time during the winter when he was trying to salt the outside of the cemetery, because it was, it's winter, it's snowing, everything's freezing, and so laying down salt unfortunately made him and he busted his knee. And then so he tried working with that knee during that day, and he was in so much pain. He was complaining about it nonstop, and I felt so bad for him. Unfortunately, though, he did have to eventually go on leave and try to figure out how to fix it. But in the meantime, it was just the remainder of us. It was us three trying to hold down the fort, and then stuff is still happening. Funerals were still happening. Whatchamacallit, so work still has to be done outside, and so it's just really difficult to like. And it's just us three. Remember this. It's a big cemetery. It's not. I don't know the exact dimensions. I don't know like square feet or square miles. It's not even a mile. I don't know. I don't know the size of this place, but it's pretty large. And so just us three trying to hold everything down without a supervisor was a hassle. And so when I was still here, a few months after he had busted his knee, we got a replacement supervisor, and then this is where things started to dwindle because once the replacement came in, he started changing way too many things. Because we had a set way to do things at our place, and so, there's rules that we follow. There's like, there's obviously there's the camaraderie with us. Like we were all like super tight. We were a team. We were bros. It's whatever. But unfortunately, he kind of brought in the corporate side, and so like once business starts like hovering over you, and it's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, or things started to dwindle really far, really fast. I need to drink water. I have water right here. It's a lot that happened, but yeah. After that, the replacement. At first, it was fine. Like he didn't know us, we didn't know him, so we're like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna keep doing our own thing until someone says otherwise, and then that is what happened. Someone said otherwise. It was him, and he basically wanted to like take control of like how we were doing things outside, and so we were trying to basically accommodate. And then one day I was helping my coworker trying to move basically a marker, so like a headstone basically, but it's not like the stereotypical one that stands up on a grave. It's not like this. This is the headstone. It's not. We didn't have these. We had basically plaques that sat on the ground on like a piece of rock, on a granite or whatever it was. That's what we were moving because it was in the way of another thing we were trying to dig out, and so in the middle of moving that, I was like holding it up while my coworker was trying to place something underneath it to like, have it stand up at an angle. Unfortunately, it was slipping from my hands and I didn't give enough warning, and he busted his thumb, I think it was. He was trying to put like something underneath it. I think it was a brick. He was trying to put underneath it to have it stand up. But like because I had dropped it and I didn't warn him in time, it smashed his finger really bad. Ugh, it was nasty. I don't want to go into detail because I'm very squeamish. I'm very squeamish. Obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen my reactions. I don't know who's watching this, but like a lot of the reactions I've done, whenever there's blood, whenever there's gore happening, I flinch hard, and this was happening right in front of me. It was bad. He had to leave for the day. Obviously, he immediately went to the hospital, and he had to stay basically away from work for a while. His hand was not okay. And so that just leaves me and then my other coworker who I was still cool with, and then the new supervisor who's starting to change things. And now we're down one other person, and it's like, okay, now we really need help. We need more people to be outside with us. We kept calling in help for like basically a contractor to have someone with us for the day or whenever it was we needed help. Everything started to dwindle after that. So I didn't stay much longer after this happened. So this was the hand incident happened summer of 20. I think it was the same summer actually that I moved in here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was the same summer I moved in here. Right? Or was it a previous summer? No. It was definitely the summer I moved in here. So still within 2022. While I was in the process of moving in here, and I need to give a proper tour of this place because I still haven't done that. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't done it. But yeah, after my coworker had to stay away from work because of his hand. It was just me and and my other coworker that I was still cool with, and then the not so cool supervisor. He started hiring people that we butted heads way too often. We were obviously not a team anymore. It was just, oh, and not, now it actually felt like work. Now it's like, oh, I have to work with someone that I don't vibe with. I don't communicate well with you. Oh boy. And so things started to dwindle, and I was not like no one likes doing the work there. Obviously, it's a cemetery. You're working outside all the time, throughout the seasons, all year. Like, you rarely get a day off. Like I said, this is a lot of overtime. We only got one day during the week off to ourselves, and that was usually a Sunday. But even that wasn't a guarantee, because sometimes like a family would be too stubborn to not have their service during the week. They would want a Sunday, and so that would force one of us to have to come in. And so that wasn't always a guarantee either. It was just a lot, and it definitely stressed us out. It stressed me out a lot of the time, because like I just wanted to get back to doing this, but like there's no time. This is part of the reason why I haven't been updating the channel as often during this period, because I was just so busy trying to do things, and unfortunately that's just how it happened. And like I'm obviously in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm in the middle of moving out. I have a car. I have bills to pay. I was paid for my phone. I was to pay for gas, for food, for rent. And at the time, I was like paying for like Netflix and a few other streaming services. Yeah, like it was just a lot, and not to mention, like, obviously, like, I'm buying things for myself. And then not including games, or even just going out and hanging out with friends, watching movies or whatever. Like, it's a lot of things I'm trying to do all at the same time. But yeah, unfortunately, it was, I think, not even a year later that I got fired. And I saw it coming, because at this point I was so over it. I did not like the people I was working with anymore, minus the one guy. And we're all still tight. We funny enough, we actually do still text each other here and there just to check in. But yeah, that happened. It's funny too, because like the week that was leading up to me being fired, I was actually beefing with the supervisor, because I had just popped a question just out of curiosity, being like, why do we have to do this? Because we had already done it. Like, basically, we were doing double work because there was something that was already done that I thought didn't need any more work. But now we're going back to redo something because someone didn't do their job properly. And so I'm over here being frustrated. Why do we have to keep doing this? Like, I wish they would just fix things the first time. And I was just popping like a simple question. I was just speaking normally. There was no, like, at least I don't think there was a tone in my voice. I don't know what happened. But then he, like, with attitude, came at me. It was like, oh, we have to do work. What are you talking about? Just go ahead and do it. And I'm like, all right, fuck you. No, I was not. This was in the morning when this happened. Our schedule was from 7 to 3:30. This was maybe around 9 or 10 when this went down. And so the rest of the day, I was pissed. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm going to do this thing that clearly had to be done. And the thing is, I was the one that already did this. And so now I'm going back to redo something. And so that was already ticking me off. This is not a good day. And then literally, I think exactly 1 week from that, so like 7 days later on the dot, is when I got fired. And it wasn't even for this reason, but like I think I had come in late that day, and like I was trying to like make up for it. I was like being super like on point with everything that had to be done during this day that I had been late, but they were like, yeah, no, let them go. I'm like, okay, well, it was at this point where I started struggling financially with everything. Up until now, the only problem I had was just time. I didn't have time for anything. Now it's, oh God, how do I pay for things? Because remember, I had been able to do everything I accomplished: buying a car, moving out, buying things I wanted and needed, paying for bills, all of it, all the 9 yards with overtime money. And now that I didn't have that, I was screwed. And so this is where things started to like kind of become the now. So this, I got fired literally like at the end of March of 2023. 2023. Literally the last day of March. So like the next day was April 1st. April Fools. Yeah, I'm the fool here. I was screwed. And so I'm like, okay, I am gonna need help. So this is all gonna start to like make sense in a second. I had let one of my friends know that day that, like, hey, I don't know if you're busy or something, but I could really appreciate it if you could come over whenever you can to help me out, because I am struggling right now. I just got fired and I need to make sure that I am good for however long that I'm still here. I am still living in this space that I moved out from my house, my family's house. I'm still living here. Nothing's happened since I moved in, but it's been close like once or twice already ever since I got fired. The friend in question is Anisha. I've known her since high school. We've been friends for years. We had a mutual that introduced us, and that's how that happened. I kind of crushed on her during the high school years for a bit, but I didn't, think anything of it. I was like, oh yeah, because like you're a hormonal teenager, you're gonna have crushes on everybody. All the cute girls in school and whatever. But yeah, it was during it was here that like we started reconnecting, because like obviously we had kept in touch throughout this whole time. We checked in every once in a while, but like I had asked her for help, and she came in the next day, and we were just chatting, catching up, talking. I was trying to figure out my situation. I wanted to see how she was doing and whatever else. And then we started, slowly connecting and bonding over the course of the next few months. And then, yeah, that's how that happened. So to kind of get back on track. Oh, hi, Rosie. The dog upstairs, her name is Rosie. I lived in the basement. The family upstairs has a dog. Her name is Rosie. I think she's a yellow lab or a golden retriever. One of the two things. I don't know. But yeah, I see her like running around on the deck outside. But yeah, and now she's barking. Okay, lovely. But yeah, she had helped me to get these next few jobs I'm about to talk about, because keep in mind, I was making $18.50 plus overtime regularly. That's how I was able to get everything that I currently have. But now that I didn't have that income anymore, how am I going to be paying? How am I going to be paying for things? How am I going to get back on track? How am I going to keep things sustained? And so that was the big problem: was, is there another job that pays that much? Not really, not unless you're doing some like really heavy work, some like back-breaking labor, and I was already over it because I was already doing all this heavy labor. And at the cemetery that I was working at, I'm like physically exhausted. I'm mentally checked out. I'm not in the mood to be doing heavy labor anymore. And so unfortunately, like that wasn't. I was like, you know what? I'll probably deal with it anyway. So anything is still on the table. Whatever. I didn't want to do it, but I'll try to do what I can. And so we ended up finding a Home Depot that was hiring nearby, and then I did that for a few months. This was still 2023. I worked at Home Depot for 4 months. Wasn't working. It was an overnight job, so that was already a struggle. It was from 7 at night to 5:30 in the morning. You have to work all the way through that, and then drive home, and then crash throughout the entirety of the day, and then do it again over and over and over again. It was luckily this was just 4 days in a row, so we had 3 straight days just nothing, but it was still too much. It messed with like my internal clock, because like, yes, I'm a night owl, but having to be forced into a situation where I have to be mindful of the fact that I don't want to mess up my new sleep schedule because I'm going to be messed up for my job. That it put too much of a stress on me, and so I had to leave it. I quit that job because it was just too much. And during this period is where I was job hopping too much, and unfortunately that's just what I had to do because I was trying to find something that would work, and nothing was really working. The next job I had was Amazon, and this really stressed me out because Amazon, I'm sure everyone here has heard the stories of how Amazon operates. Maybe there are good warehouses out there, I don't know, but my experience was not good. I was a delivery driver for Amazon. And the thing is, like, I wasn't even working for Amazon directly. I was working for a subsidiary company called People Now Logistics. Look that up because I don't know what the hell that is. I tried looking it up, and there's like barely any information. You tell me. But yeah, I had been working for Amazon. This was, I think, another 3 or 4 months. I started in November of 2023 with this one. And then that didn't last long. I literally just worked that holiday season, and then that was it. Like, literally the last day I worked was January of this year, 2024. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And the thing is, like, it sucks because, like, I was actually doing more or less okay, I think. They had me driving, like, way down. I don't want to give my exact location, obviously, for reasons, but I had to drive across the state, basically, and deliver there, and then that took however long because the packages at the time, remember, this is the holiday season, so people are ordering for Black Friday, for Christmas, for New Year's, for whatever, and it's like, what the hell is happening? And so I remember having a van literally way too packed that I couldn't even take all of my itinerary. There was too many boxes to fit in the fucking van. And so I had to leave some things at the warehouse because I'm like, I can't take it. I physically cannot fit this in the van. Jesus Christ. I had a point I was gonna say. I forgot what it was. Yeah, so basically it didn't work out. We worked, this was a similar schedule to the Home Depot thing. It was basically like a choose your own schedule, but like you have to work within this time or this time. So it was basically a Sunday through Wednesday or a Wednesday through Saturday situation. I chose Sunday through Wednesday just so I could have the weekend to myself, or at least part of the weekend to myself. But it was still too much because this job was we technically clocked in like around 11 o'clock in the morning, but then like it depended on what time you returned to the warehouse that you clocked out. And this all depends on how many packages you have and how fast you are at delivering, and that's if no problems show up. And I unfortunately came across so many problems. I'm slowly going down this list of bullshit. Let's see. Here's the bullshit that happened. Because I apparently was taking too long to do certain deliveries, they put me through what's called speed training. So basically, I would do my itinerary as usual, but they would have someone with me, not to help, but to basically give me pointers on how to speed up the process of whatever it is I'm doing. Like maybe just tips and tricks, so like, oh, instead of doing this, do this to make it a little bit faster. And then just constantly do it over and over again, and like just, you know, pick up a few things here and there that maybe I'm not doing correctly or whatever. And it did help actually, because like the way the system worked is that like whenever you would deliver a box, it would just send you to the immediate next address, and then you drive to that address and then get out and then deliver it and then continue. But instead of doing that by just stopping every so often with the van, you just park more or less in the middle of the general area that you're supposed to be delivering in, and then just take all the boxes of that area into one of the bags we had, and then just go door to door to door, and then boom, knock it out all at once. That significantly did help, but that still wasn't enough because again, this holiday season, I think it was this is like late December, early January at this point. I was doing a delivery, and I think the system was actually down for this one. This was some bullshit. The system was down, and then it was hard to like even like figure out like what goes where. The itinerary was so messed up. There was boxes that should have been up here that were down the list, and so like I'm literally hopping across like a single neighborhood, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because nothing is organized. Normally the way it is like you organize it by stop, so like certain boxes that are like delivered next to each other, you know, house by house by house. Instead of going all over the place, you just go down the line, you know. But it wasn't like that at all. So that was something that happened. But like this one in particular, I had taken too long. So remember, I clock in around like I want to say 10:30. I mean, like close to 11 o'clock maybe. It fluctuated honestly, depending on like how the day was looking. But this was around 9 at night that I was still delivering. And keep in mind, I'm across the state. I'm like, no, I'm not even across. I'm the next state over, and so I have to deliver this or attempt to deliver what I can, and then still have to drive back in the van, put gas in it, park, go back to the warehouse, drop off all the equipment, take the van to the parking lot that is separate from the warehouse. So it's like maybe like a block or two down the street. Park it, and then I get to fucking leave. There would be days I wouldn't get home until like 10, 11 o'clock, maybe almost at midnight. This job was way too stressful for me, and the problem they had with me is my speed. But again, this is peak holiday season. I don't understand how people do this. Like, and I saw that even my van wasn't as bad as other people, so I don't know how the hell they managed to do it, but clearly whatever's working for them works, because I clearly just could not figure it out. And then they just never called me back, because like there was like a group chat that we had, and the schedule for the next day would be popped up and names would be listed. My name never popped up after like a week or two, and I'm like, where's my name? So I texted my boss. I called him. I checked around, like, why am I not coming in? What's going on? And they're like, oh, we'll let you know what's going on. We still want to put you through speed training again so that you can get caught up and this and that. I'm like, okay, but I hope you realize that I'm suffering right now because I'm not getting paid. And they're like, yeah, we understand. We'll let you know. That didn't happen. They just never got back to me. And I was like, fuck you guys then. I had to get something else. And so I had to basically ask another buddy of mine for help. And luckily, this is where I'm currently working. He works at an Acura dealership, and that's where I'm at right now. Jesus Christ, this is going for a while. It's a lot. Ugh. Acura, I got hired at Acura. I started work March of this year, so I'm like about a month in right now. This is April currently. As of editing this video, I am currently at work, and it is July 11th. That's how far it's been between recording that video and editing it now. Haha. About a month in with Acura, and so far so good. I don't think this is gonna be too difficult of a job. Obviously, like, my big problem was the pay. Home Depot was paying me $18 full time, no overtime. Again, I was making $18.50 plus overtime, so I was really looking for that extra bump to really help. I thought Amazon was going to be it because they paid $19.50 with potential overtime, just depending on like how long you take. But that didn't work out, and so now I unfortunately have to take like a pay cut with this. Like, I asked like for, hey, I need this much money, but they're only able to give me $17 an hour, which is enough to skirt by, but it's definitely nothing, substantial. It's nothing huge, because I just can't pay for things the way I could before. And so now it's like, okay, I have to make cuts. The only stuff I'm paying for is rent, my phone bill, gas, and I think that's it. Like I'm not paying for any streaming services. I haven't bought like a figure in a while. I maybe occasionally I'll like spoil myself with something, um, like maybe like a pizza or like something like maybe like a game or something, or like a current DLC. Because right now I'm currently playing Tekken 8, and so there's a lot of stuff happening with Tekken 8, but that's beside the point. But yeah, like I'm trying to cut where I can, and I'm trying not to cut where I can't. So like my credit card, for instance, like I gotta pay for my credit card because that's close to its limit, and unfortunately I had to rely on the credit card during the period after I got fired from the cemetery. Like during that month or so, however long it was that I was still jobless, I had to rely on the credit card because that was the only thing I had. And luckily, because I was so on top of the credit card while I was still working, I still had everything that was in it, which was around $3,000. So obviously I didn't want to blow it all like blow it all away with paying for whatever. But like where I could, I would use it, or where I could spare. I think words. I'm going almost 40 minutes here. I'm starting to, but yeah, it's just a lot. And so currently, I'm trying to figure out when I can like work up to getting a new laptop or getting the old one fixed, or even just moving the motherboard from there to a new one or whatever. Because I still had, funny enough, I still had like editing projects on there when it shitted, and so like I think I was working on like a Wonder Woman trailer reaction at the time. Remember, this is like 2017. There was still like Wonder Woman, Doctor Strange, and like this is before Avengers Infinity War had come out. There were still so many comic book movies that were coming out, and I was so hype. There was like so many things at the time, and I was working on various things, reactions, and then just obviously the fanfics, and then like I think I had something else that I was working on. I cannot remember what it was. But yeah, like, and unfortunately this whole charade of nonsense started happening right after I think I had done my 1,000 subscriber special, like a month, like it was a few months after that live stream that I did, that everything started just falling apart. And I guys, I cannot stress enough how fucking unfortunate all of this is. I wish I could fix it all somehow with just one magic touch, but unfortunately life just doesn't work like that. And so I'm now at a point where like, okay, I have a job, I have some kind of stability. There are still people I owe. Tax season just ended, so I'm hoping for my tax return so that I can pay off other people that I owe, because it's a whole thing with that too. I had to get help from my dad, and I don't want to go into that honestly, but like nothing anything bad happened. It's just a lot, and it's just, oh my god, I'm struggling over here. And so all of this basically is one giant reason as to why I have not been consistent on the channel since 2017, 2016 maybe. It's just a lot, and I want to get back to it, I really do, but time was not on my side, money was not on my side. There was just a lot of stuff happening, and I'm in the middle of a process where like I had lost some friendships along the way, and that hurt. I'm still processing that. Another friend of mine got sent away because of some nonsense that happened there. I don't want to go into details, but he's not in the country, and he was like one of my best friends, and he's not here. I still talk to him, but he's physically just not here. He's somewhere else, and it's hard to talk because the time zones are way too far apart. I'm trying to cope, obviously. Like, I have Anisha with me. She's been great. She's kind of been my emotional anchor currently, my mental anchor, just my anchor in general, because I'm just going through too much right now, and she's been super helpful, and I love her so much. Right now she's watching Scooby-Doo. uh, but yeah, it's a lot, and hopefully soon everything can start, just leveling out. I can start paying for things again on a regular basis. I'm still like technically 1 month behind on rent, so that's a whole other issue that I'm dealing with the family upstairs. I'm on good terms with them. Like they're nice and all, and they've been very understanding and very. I've been very fortunate that they haven't kicked me out. I got close once, but that's when I had to basically get help from my dad, and that's a whole thing. But yeah, it's a lot, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm making excuses, but this is just how it is. This is just the matter of fact. I I have been through way too much in the last several years, and yes, there have been points where like I probably could have done a better job of getting back onto YouTube, but I just ever since I fell off, I haven't been able to get back on. And YouTube at this point has changed so much since then. Like I don't know all the details, but like obviously because I'm in the space, like I kind of hear whispers of like various YouTubers that I follow, mainly Markiplier, of how the system changed and like what's happened since and like all the rules and like all the how the algorithm works and like what you got to do to basically keep up your audience and you can't curse a certain amount of times or whatever the hell it is, or you can't have certain words, like they censor certain words. Like, are you serious? Like, what is happening? Oh god, it's a lot, and I'm at this point just speaking in circles. But yeah, that's the end of the list. It's now 45 minutes into this video, or however long this is gonna end up. But I do want to get back on. Once I get to a point that I am now caught up with all my debts and I'm at a stable-ish spot where I don't have to worry about like, oh no, I have to live paycheck to paycheck. That's, I think, the point where I can start working on coming back. Like I said, I still have my laptop. I have another buddy actually who could look into it, and then he even offered to do so. So like I'll see if that's a thing that is viable. I don't know if it's gonna be able to be fixed completely, or it's gonna have to be transferred over to a new system, or if I have to get a new one entirely. I don't know yet. But hopefully soon everything will start to work out, and so far so good. I think it's been a fucking run. Oh god, my feet hurt. I've been standing up here in front of the camera, my phone technically. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm hungry, I need to use the bathroom, and I want to enjoy the rest of the day with Anisha. So anyway, thank you all so much for listening, for watching, for just understanding, and leave your thoughts down below. I want to know what you all think of all this craziness that I've been up to for so long. Again, I don't want to make it seem like I was making excuses, but like I've been through quite a bit lately. It was a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, just let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna take a seat because my feet hurt. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time. Goodbye.